6:15. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by J. Yogaraj. First, the headlines. The government is to establish an international trade office. The President emphasizes that state officials should do their best to serve the public. France is keen to expedite proposed milk production projects in Sri Lanka. Indian Credit Line donates 125 jeeps to Sri Lanka Police. 6 motorcycles valued at around 40 million rupees brought illegally to the country seized by the police. News overseas, India calls for a return to COVID-appropriate behavior. In sports, Tour de France is to start in Italy for the first time in 2024. And those are the headlines. The President's Media Division says, on the directions of President Ranil Wickremesinghe, the government has decided to reorganize the existing conventional institutional setup and establish the International Trade Office. It is to interconnect all the relevant institutions and synergize their work to obtain maximum output from the external trade sector to the national economy. The ambition is to first integrate into South Asia and then expand to the East, China, Thailand and Indonesia, linking to the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, which consists of 30% of the world's GDP, trade and population. It said that there is no alternative but to formulate a strong institutional structure to manage Sri Lanka's presence in international trade while removing the existing bureaucracy of trade-related institutions and eliminating the gaps in the projects by multiple institutions. The ITO, once it is established through an Act of Parliament, will be headed by an ambassador of international trade. It will be supported by an eminent group of advisors who has expertise in international trade, and co-structure of the institution will consist of designated officers from all the relevant institutions. President Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasizes that the state officials should do their best to serve the public without being narrow-minded. Government institutions should provide the maximum service possible with proper coordination. The President expressed these views at a District Development Committee meeting of Nuwara. He instructed the officials to prepare a consolidated report on solving the land issues in the district and to send to him before 4th February. New French Ambassador Jean Francois says France is keen to expedite proposed milk production projects to increase milk production in Sri Lanka. He pointed out the need to increase exports to France by Sri Lanka to balance the bilateral trade. The ambassador mentioned this when he met Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardene at the Temple Trees today. The Prime Minister said French investors should invest in sectors such as fisheries, agriculture, information technology, renewable energy, electronic equipment and tourism. The Prime Minister thanked the French government for the assistance given to universities to study French. They also held discussions on strengthening cooperation on ocean security, education, information technology and agriculture. This news comes to you from Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. 125 jeeps were donated by the Indian Credit Line to the Sri Lanka Police today at the Ministry of Public Security. 500 jeeps will be donated to the Sri Lanka Police under this program. The High Commissioner of India, Gopal Bagle, symbolically handed over the vehicles to Minister Tiran Alas. 6 motorcycles that were brought to the country illegally have been seized by the Gampa police in Henegama. Belivaria Gampa Crimes Division raided a garage in the area, leading to the arrest of 2 suspects along with the motorcycles yesterday. Police said the motorcycles, valued at around 40 million rupees, were brought to Sri Lanka in parts and assembled to be sold illegally. Deputy Leader of the United National Party, Akila Viraj Karivasam, says the country should be taken forward with a new political system. He said it is a responsibility of the politicians to create a better society and that a duty has been accepted by the UNP. He mentioned this during a media briefing at UNP headquarters today. Speaking further, he said the struggle has created the background to establish new methodologies and it should be understood by the politicians. The Chinese embassy in Sri Lanka has donated 5 million rupees to the Defence Ministry towards the development of the National Cadet Corps. The donation has been presented by the Defence Attaché of Chinese Embassy in Colombo, Senior Colonel Wang Dong, to Defence Secretary General Kamal Gunaratne at the Defence Ministry on Wednesday. The Defence Ministry said that the donation was made with the intention of developing training of a National Cadet Corps in order to produce a well-disciplined youth and future leaders to the country. Prisons Commissioner General and media spokesman Chandan Ekanayake said an increase has been observed in the number of school students being arrested for drug-related. He said there was an increase in the number of GCE ordinary level and advanced level students being jailed for such offences. He pointed out there were 200 students amongst these arrested for drug-related offences in 2015, but in 2021 this figure rose to 5,000. Chief Adhikarana Sanganayaka of the United Kingdom and Chief Monk of Sri Saddhatissa International Buddhist Centre, Kingsbury, Venerable Galeaye Piyadasi Thera has passed away. His remains will be kept at the Saddhatissa International Buddhist Centre for the public to pay their last respect. The funeral ceremony will take place in England on the 31st of December. And that's local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
A special awareness program to support the Committee on Public Accounts regarding the further expansion of the evaluation process in the public sector was held in Parliament recently with the participation of COPA members. The officials of the Sri Lanka Evaluation Association briefed the committee members in this program, which was chaired by COPA Chairman, Parliamentarian Kabir Hashim. Completion of the National Evaluation Draft Bill and implementation of the recommendations of the Parliament Select Committee were discussed in detail, and the facts were presented about the possibility of establishing an evaluation unit when establishing a budget office in Parliament. And that came to you in top news.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Life is brought to you by
Let's celebrate Christmas and New Year with CIB with special gifts, discounts and easy payment schemes available till 31st of December. Come to CIB today.
Minister of Public Administration said the government has declared Monday a special public holiday in addition to the bank holiday. It said the decision was made since this year's Christmas Day is falling on a Sunday. The decision was announced by Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena during a governors' conference today. And that came to you in Watchlight.
Let's celebrate Christmas and New Year with CIB with special gifts, discounts and easy payment schemes till 31st of December. Come to CIB today.
World News brought to you by courtesy of
We give you the strength to rise higher and higher.
Never step back, but always march forward.
Empowering you to reach greater heights. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
India calls for a return to COVID-appropriate behavior. The US winter storm to bring coldest Christmas in decades. Microsoft faces legal action from gamers to block its merger with Activision Blizzard. And those are the headlines of the world news. India's Health Ministry has called for a return to COVID-appropriate behavior, including wearing masks in public, as the country steps up surveillance of cases. Top health officials have also asked people to get vaccinated and take booster doses. India had relaxed its mask-wearing rules earlier this year after a drop in infection levels, but a surge in cases in neighboring China has put the country on alert. A major winter storm sweeping the US this week may bring the coldest Christmas in 4 decades to the parts of the country. Forecasters say once in a generation cold snap, which began in the Pacific Northwest on Tuesday, will become a bomb cyclone by tomorrow. More than 90 million people are under winter weather alerts across 37 states. Microsoft faces legal action from 10 gamers to block its merger with the Call of Duty maker Activision Blizzard. The lawsuit filed in a U.S. federal court says the $69 billion deal by Xbox console maker to purchase its rival will create a monopoly in the video game industry. The complaint comes 2 weeks after U.S. regulators filed a case with an administrative judge to block the deal. And that's world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of
Amidst all challenges, we will rally around you and advance.
In the face of hardships, let's stand strong together.
Empowering you to reach greater heights. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Development news. The Cabinet has decided to implement a special program to enhance the living conditions of the upcountry Tamil community, who contributed immensely to the development of the plantation sector. The Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposal made by the President to implement such programs with the aim of improving the upcountry Tamil community's living conditions through the Plantation Ministry and other relevant government bodies. And that was development news, and moving on to sports. The Tour de France will start in Italy for the first time ever in 2024. It will begin in Florence in a year marking the centenary of Ottovia Tour de France win, which was the first by an Italian in 1924. The first 3 stages will take place in Italy, while the race will finish in Nice in another first. The conclusion will be outside of Paris region for the first time in the race history, because the Olympic start dates later in the French capital. And that was sports news.
The fastest way to earn the highest interest, an interest rate of 22%. NSB, the safest place for your money.
Business news, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
People's Leasing of Finance has received another international accolade from the European Society for Quality Research in Brussels, Belgium. It is in their annual recognition program, European Award for the Best Practices 2022 for selected companies, public administration and organizations representing different sectors from Europe, Asia, the American and Africa and Australia as well. The People's Leasing and Finance was Sri Lanka's sole recipient of the prestigious award. And that was business news.
Business news, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The fastest way to earn the highest interest, an interest rate of 22% in 4 months. NSB, the safest place for your money.
Economic news, courtesy of...
For the 5th consecutive year, LOLC is awarded People's Financial Services Brand of the Year at the 2022 Slim Kantar People's Awards. As the People's Financial Services Brand of the Year, LOLC continues to place the customer first. And this has won the hearts, minds and trust of Sri Lankans, with yet another prestigious award as proof of this lasting commitment. LOLC, imagine the possibilities.
Sri Lanka has requested India to start passenger ferry services between the two countries at an early date. Senior officials from the two sides have held talks to enhance bilateral cooperation in the maritime sector in the Indian Ocean region. A statement by the Sri Lankan Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Aviation said the meeting between the Joint Secretary of the Indian Ocean region, Puneet Agarwal, and Sri Lankan Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation, Nimal Siripal Dissilwa, in this regard took place on Tuesday.
LOLC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LOLC Finance claims the overall gold award, whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking.
Weather report. The Met Department says a low-pressure area over southwest Bay of Bengal has intensified into a depression and located northeast of Trincomalee. It is very likely to cross Sri Lanka during Saturday and Sunday. Under the influence of this system, rainy and windy conditions are likely to increase over most parts of the island during 24th and 25th of month, and showers at times will occur tomorrow in the northern, eastern, and north central provinces. Strong gusty winds of about 50 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the northern, eastern, western, Sabargamu and Uva provinces. And that was the weather report. To wind up this news broadcast, let's look at the main points once again. The government is to establish an international trade office. The President emphasizes that state officials should do their best to serve the public. France is keen to expedite proposed milk production projects in Sri Lanka. Indian Credit Line donates 125 jeeps to Sri Lanka police. 6 motorcycles valued at around 40 billion rupees brought illegally to the country, seized by the police. News Overseas India calls for a return to COVID-appropriate behavior. In sports, Tour de France is to start in Italy for the first time in 2024. And with that, we conclude this evening news podcast of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.